Day number 18, Obfuscation, the eggshell file. The two videos from two creators. Task number 1, introduction. Wherewell was not felt right since the wormhole appeared. Everyone in TBFC is on high alert. Systems are going haywire, dashboards are spiking, and SOC alerts have been firing non-stop. Amid the chaos, McSkitty keeps her focus on a particular alert that caught her interest, an email posing as North Pole HR. It's littered with carrot emojis, but the weird thing is this. There is no North Pole Human Resource Department. TBFC's HR is at the South Pole. Digging further, she found a tiny PowerShell file from that email was downloaded. Among the code are random strings of characters, all gibberish, nothing readable at a glance. McSkitty knows malicious actors often hide code and data using a technique called obfuscation. But what is it really, and how can we decipher it? Learning objectives. Learn about obfuscation, why and where it is used. Learn the differences between encoding, encryption, and obfuscation. Learn about obfuscation and the common techniques. Use CyberChef to recover plaintext safely. Let's power up the virtual machine and answer the question below. Start the machine. There you go. Task number 2, obfuscation and deobfuscation. Understanding the gibberish. Obfuscation is the practice of making the data hard to read and analyze. Attackers use it to evade basic detection and delay investigations. Let us say a security hole will automatically block any file that contains the word "the bandit yeti." To evade this, attackers can use a simple cipher technique called ROT1 to hide the string. ROT1 is a cipher technique that shifts each letter forward by 1 in the alphabet. The letter A becomes B, B becomes C, and so on. Using this cipher, carrot coins go brrr, becomes gibberish. This can be further complicated by using ROT13, which moves the characters forward by 13 spaces. Obfuscation in the real world. So far, we've kept it simple. In the real world, you've encountered a wider range of techniques. One slightly more complicated technique would be utilizing XOR. Each character is represented as a byte, and each byte is combined with a key using the XOR mathematical operation. No need to go into the details as to how it works. The only thing you need to know is that the operation changes the bytes into different bytes, which sometimes makes the result text end up with uncommon symbols or unreadable characters. Obfuscating with XOR is not something that can be easily done manually, but thankfully there are tools available that can help us with this. One such widely used tool is called CyberChef. Let's try to obfuscate a string using XOR by using the steps below. Let's open this link. We have CyberChef at the top of the right. So we will use carrot supremacy. Let's see. Carrot supremacy. What they want us to do. Search for XOR, drag in the middle on the recipe, apply the technique, input text, each setting to A. Make sure the dropdown is set to hex. So XOR, we place it over here. It's hex. All right. And we set the key to A. Boom, there you go, instantly. Okay, we delete that. We have the text because XOR is not applied. We provide the key. Boom. Gibberish. There you go. We have it exactly like on TryHackMe. Detecting patterns. The good thing about well-known obfuscation techniques is that it's easy to reverse it once you figure out the technique used. You can use these quick visual clues to guess the obfuscation techniques used. ROT1, ROT13, base64, XOR. ROT1 is the common word look, one letter off, spaces stay the same, easy enough to detect. ROT13 look at 3-letter words, common ones like the become gur and becomes neck. Spaces stay the same. Base64 long strings containing mostly alphanumeric characters, right? Sometimes with plus or forward slash, often ending in equals or equal equal. XOR a bit more tricky, looks like random symbols, but stays the same length as the original. If a short secret was used, you may notice a tiny repeating every few characters. Yeah, so we use the tiny key for XOR. You can see, for instance, XX is repeated multiple times, right? What else? I, K, right? But if, for instance, we say A6, actually airplane. So the pattern, even though some letters are repeating themselves, is not like when we use like this. We have many more characters that are repeating. This is a tell that you can guess what's going on. Once you have guessed on what cipher was used, you can go back to CyberChef, but this time I will use an operation that does the reverse effect. For example, to obfuscate base64, you use from base64 instead of to base64. I mean, in the previous day challenge, we actually did a lot of CyberChef, so we are familiar with this. Unfamiliar patterns, not sure what you're looking at, it's fine. Even if you don't have an idea of what cipher was used, it is easy enough to keep on trying different operations just to see if the text becomes readable. CyberChef also includes an operation called magic that automatically guesses and tries common decoders for you. To use it, just add the magic operation and look at the result. It will be displayed multiple results and it's up to you to check which one ends up making sense. You can even check intensive mode to make sure it tests more possibilities before giving up. Okay, so let's try something. We'll copy this, we'll delete this, we'll disable, and here we'll say magic. We'll take this, depth 3, nothing of interest could be detected about this input data. Have you tried modifying the operation arguments? Intensive mode. There you go. XOR string A hex, and then boom, there you go. In intensive mode, this won't catch everything, especially custom XOR keys or unusual layers. So use it as a hint to help you in figuring it out. For example, one of the questions below cannot be fully solved with the magic operation alone. Layered obfuscation. To make obfuscation harder, threat actors would often combine multiple techniques, almost like a layered approach. For example, a script that threat actors want hidden can be compressed with gzip, XORed with a X key. Then finally, base64 encoded will produce this obfuscated string. To reverse this kind of layered obfuscation, apply the operations in the opposite order. From base64, we go XOR with X key, then decompress gzip. From base64, use an XOR with X key, and then gunzip, right? Gzip. The screenshot below shows how to chain these operations to recover the original content. There you go, you can see it in plain text. Unwrapping the Easter egg. Luckily, McSkitty detected something fishy in the email we received. She extracted the PowerShell script from the PDF and put it on the isolated virtual machine to figure out what it's doing. There is some obfuscation in this script. Can you help her understand what it is? Open santastealer.ps1 located on the virtual machine desktop in the Visual Studio by double-clicking it. Take a moment to open and navigate to start here. Follow the instructions in the code's comments and save. Then run the script from the PowerShell terminal to get your first flag. To open PowerShell, start click or press the Windows key by type PowerShell and press enter. In the PowerShell terminal, run the two commands shown in the descriptions below. There is a second challenge waiting for you. This time you must obfuscate the malicious actor's API key using XOR. Follow the part 2 instructions in the code's comments and then run the script again to get your last flag. Answer the questions below. What is the first flag you get after deobfuscation, the C2 URL and running the script. And then the second question is, what is the second flag you get after obfuscating the API key and running the script again? We have the Santa stealer. So let's see, only edit where the to do say. So ignore this. Pretty cool that is mentioned. Right, so here we actually have the first step. To do, part number 1, deobfuscation. And then we have part number 2, question 1 and question 2. All right, let's see. Part 1, deobfuscation. Deobfuscate the string present in the C2B64, base64 obviously, and place the URL in. Okay, so we have to copy this, go to, we disable this. Actually, wait, for magic, we can use this and have some fun with magic because we'll automatically detect base64. Let's see. And we will see if this will work. Okay. Okay, let's go base64 from base64. From base64. There you go. HTTPS North Pole C2 North Pole.TryHackMe C2 North Pole .TryHackMe exit X fail. And this should be it. C2 North Pole TryHackMe X fail. All right, this is the first. That's the first, and let's also use the second. Obfuscate the API key using XOR single byte. Key is this, and convert the hex ID to hexadecimal. Okay, let's take the plain text. Let's go over here. We administrator, the password. Copy this. Let me open the clipboard. Let's see if this will do the trick. Yes. All right, so it did the trick. It did the trick. Now we copy this. Go back here. We copy to the clipboard. And from the clipboard, we paste it here. And that's it. That's all, folks. We open PowerShell. We go to desktop. And from here, Santa Stealer PS1. Downloading payload. This does its thing. There you go. That's the first. Actually, let me see. Deobfuscation. Let me copy this and see. All right. What is the second flag? Also, the second flag. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, we did a little. So here is our mistake. So from this, we have to go to hexadecimal. To hex. We place it over here and then we copy this one. This was our mistake. This was our mistake. We have to convert to hexadecimal and then add it to. then add it here. And now we should get the, let's save the file. And now we should get the flag. The 2 flags. There you go. API. If you want to learn more about obfuscation, check out the obfuscation principle room